evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Mahoning Drive-In Theater, the largest single-screen drive-in in the United States. We're certainly glad you could be with us this evening, and don't forget the concession stand is open with all kinds of great things to eat and drink. .3 Mahoning Drive-In Radio, your old pal Virgil, welcoming you back once again for another exciting episode of the podcast. As you guys know, the only podcast dedicated to the love and revival of our beloved drive-in culture. Joined as always by my co-host and general manager extraordinaire, Mark.
Hello.
How are you, my friend?
I'm super dandy. I'm very, very excited to talk about that which we are about to talk about.
Yes, I'll tell you what, like this really is the time when the engine starts to rev. We've been getting a lot of confirmations on bookings for 2026, which is pushing a lot of events forward. And of course, what we're going to talk about today is the relaunch of the 2026 Mahoning Roadshow, which has become such a fruitful venture, which we'll talk about not just for what we expected it to be, but really for unexpected reasons as well. Mark, first off, why don't we start? We got hit with some snow. How are you holding that person?
Snow, glorious snow. We got about 13 inches where I am in New York, and it's also very cold, so it's not going anywhere. And that was the case, speaking of the roadshow, the first roadshow last year at the Union County Performing Arts Center in Rahway, New Jersey, was amidst a blizzard. So hopefully nature is front-loading the snow. Hopefully we're getting it all right now. And then when the roadshow starts, it's just going to be clear sailing down the highway.
It's funny because when we got the storm, I was totally saying to fans, I was like, thank God we didn't have a show while this was happening. We'd be stuck wherever we were.
We were joking last time that like nature was getting in our way at almost every road show last year, where there was like an industrial fire near one of the theaters and nobody knew if the air was safe to breathe and if the businesses would be open. And there was like severe rain one night and there was the blizzard another night. And I think it wasn't until maybe one or two of the 9 last time where it was just like, wow, it's really nice outside.
It's wild how the weather can really affect us even in the off season. It's just it's one of those things that follow us everywhere.
Well, I think I made the mistake at the beginning of the road show of going, well, this is going to be great because we're indoors. The weather doesn't matter.
Not so much. Yeah, the weather really threw a wrench in our plans. Our hope was to go away this week and join the conference, the Drive-In Owners Conference, for the very first time. They actually asked us to come down and speak, which we were very honored to do so. And then flights got canceled and then delayed and then canceled again. And then we just reached a point where it was like, all right, this is not happening this year. So we threw the towel in, but we did send our love to everybody down there. And we're going to do it right next year, give them a real presentation, which honestly is the way to go. We get Dave involved. We put together a nice little slideshow, really let the people know what's special about the Mahoning Drive-In Theater and really what we become known for in the industry, which is like the little engine that could, starting from truly nothing and building up this nationwide fan base and lore for people. Not just that, but being able to add elements to the business that really a lot of other drive-ins just aren't thinking about. So a true honor there, but it's been a bummer week being like, it's freezing cold here. We could have gotten away even just for a moment, but hitting the road is truly a special time. Are you excited to get out there on the road, Mark?
I'm beyond excited to do this road show. We had so much fun last year. We saw so many cool people, and being fans of movie theaters, indoor and outdoor ourselves, it's exciting to get to go to a theater where you don't usually have the time to go. During the season when we're open, we really can't get too far away for too long because we're running a movie theater 4 nights a week. So the road show is very exciting. I'm very excited about the movies we're showing because for the most part, they're movies that we have not shown at the Mahoning either ever in our era or during the last several years. At least the road show is really a separate entity. So people have asked online like, oh, you should play that at the Mahoning this year. It's like, no, we're not. The Roadshow is like its own thing. So I think there's only one instance of anything that we have played in the recent past. Other than that, it's all pretty fresh stuff. So I'm like as excited as the customers to go and watch these movies too.
Yeah, and when you hear what movie that is, which we'll be kicking the road show off with, you'll see why. We talk about the jewel of collections and folks that have private collections and what is kind of their jewel. For us, we were lucky enough, as we've talked about many times on the podcast, to now own a print of Switchblade Sisters, a really, really beautiful print of Switchblade Sisters, actually acquired on the Roadshow last year at the Everett Theater. We are kicking off the Roadshow on Saturday, February 21st with our friends at Renew Theaters, the Highway Theater specifically, in Jenkintown, which is really my neck of the woods, with Switchblade Sisters from 1975.
Meet the toughest gang of teenage girls ever to slash their way across a motion picture screen. Their parents didn't want them. Their teachers were scared of them. Even the cops couldn't tame them. Switchblade Sisters. Are the young rebels fighting for survival in a decaying society? Or are they just teenage hoodlums taking advantage of their youth?
Switchblade Sisters played like a dream when we screened it this last season. One of those movies that has become a Grindhouse staple. What year did Quentin put out that Grindhouse Presents line?
He had this, it was
Rolling Thunder.
It was Rolling Thunder Pictures. It was sometime, I want to say after Pulp Fiction, where he he could do no wrong box office wise. And Miramax was like, yeah, whatever you like, whatever you like. And what he wanted to do was basically re-release old, obscure, trashy 70s movies into the theater that I don't think did well at all. But Miramax really wanted to keep him and make him happy. And it was great. And basically, thanks to that is how we have this print. And he released that. He released Mighty P. Kingman and maybe one or two others, but not a lot. It was really a label that kind of lived a little bit more on video than it did in theaters. But he did get back into the theaters. At the time, being a fan of cult movies and drive-in movies, I'd never heard of Switchblade Sisters at the time. And I think it really raised the profile of this film because he sort of put his blessing on it and put it out into theaters. So the print you see is actually that you're going to see at the Highway on February 21st is one of those Rolling Thunder Pictures releases. So it looks like it's the day the movie came out. Like, we ran this last year at the theater as a double feature with the Warriors. And first of all, it plays like gangbusters. It was super fun. It's this female girl gang movie where they're running riot in LA and things like that. And they're up against male gangs, and there's a roller skating rink situation, and there's women in prison situation. And it's much like a lot of Jack Hill films, very much female forward, very funny, intentionally funny a lot of the time, but very like campy and played up with a great soundtrack. So it's a jewel in our collection. And as you said, we thought we were renting this last season when we did the Everett Roadshow, and we found out that we had actually purchased it for an incredibly low price. So I was trying not to repeat ourselves with the roadshows with anything we'd done recently, but when I was talking to Shannon as far as what we were going to program for this one show at the Highway, she said this would be part of their, or in the slot of their usual Cult Cinema Club series. And I was like, a lot of people went to that show that we did with Switchblade Sisters, but not a huge amount. So I'm sure a lot of people missed it. And there is far fewer cult cinema titles in our library that are quite as cult cinema as Switchblade Sisters. So it's a ton of fun. Yeah. If you haven't heard of it, you will love it. And it is a single feature. The way they present things at the Highway, they have a sort of an interesting projection setup. It's a beautiful old downtown single screen theater. It's a big auditorium, nice big screen. The projection is great. The way they do it is they have to split a film in the middle when they run it on film and put an intermission in. So that they kind of do that anyway. So this film will have our usual pre-show 35 millimeter trailers and drive-in ads and snack bar ads and an intermission reel in the middle. They will actually come from the Renew Theaters massive archive. So it'll be really cool vintage stuff that if you've come to the Mahoning a lot, you've probably never seen. And this will run as though it's a drive-in experience. Instead of an intermission between two movies, you get an intermission in the middle of one. We'll be joined by the folks at Movie John, who are great friends of the organization. They're really good friends to retro cinema in northeastern Pennsylvania in general. And
yeah, they've become a nice staple.
Oh, yeah. like not just at our theater, at all kinds of theaters. They're great folks. They do a really good movie zine that's all about mostly old film, but also some new film. And they sell really cool, like retro film themed merch and swag. So they had asked if they could join us at some of these screenings. And I was like, if you can make it, we would love to have you. So they're actually
Yeah,
going to be with us at a
bingo.
lot of shows. And
Yeah.
yeah, anyway, I ramble because I really enjoyed the first time I was at the Highway, and I cannot wait to get back.
That's what I was gonna say. It was a great vibe, just like the Mahoning. Like they have a lobby that is really inviting, and they have vendors in there. So if you guys are close, we highly recommend you coming out. For the Philly fans, it's a hop, skip, and a jump. Where I'm at, Montgomery County, it's like boom, right there. So come on out, catch some Switchblade Sisters. And as always, like we get up on stage, that's all well and good. Incredibly curated trailers, and the vibe of the drive-in comes with a lot of those pre-show snipes. And when we run double features, of course, we bring along an intermission reel so you guys can really get a taste of the drive-in vibe in an indoor environment. This next double is a perfect drive-in double feature as we head back to Rahway, New Jersey to see our friends at Union County Performing Arts Center on Saturday, February 28th with a double feature. What would we call this as far as
The original slash ripoff double feature.
yes, original slash ripoff. The Exorcist followed by Beyond the Door.
Somewhere between science and superstition, there is another world, a world of darkness. Nobody expected it. Nobody believed it. And nothing could stop it. The one hope. The only hope. The Exorcist.
Beyond the door, where demonic possession lives and evil penetrates the soul. Step inside, if you dare. Who are you? Jessica has gone beyond the door.
So excited about both of these movies whenever you can see them up on the big screen, but together it's exactly what the Mahoning is known for, kind of that pairing. Our friends at Rahway, New Jersey, we had such a good time at Union County last year. They have a beautiful venue, huge open lobby, double walkway from what I'm remembering, going up to the upper level seating. And then you go in through the mains. You have your lower level seating. Ian will be out doing the organ. He let us know that he will be back playing the organ for you guys. That's a little pre-show treat. And that one's stacked with vendors too, right, Mark?
That we have packed as many vendors as humanly possible into that lobby. Last year, it was a few of us. Last year, it was us. To let folks know, part of what the roadshow is Virgil and I on stage before the film doing a little talk about the history of drive-ins, the history of the Mahoning, and then the history of the movies you're about to watch, have a little fun with that. And we also have a vendor table where we sell roadshow like posters and t-shirts and Mahoning merch. But at Rahway, we also have, this time we have Game Wick Games, Larry Wick, who does really cool board games that are like, horror sci-fi themed. And one of them, I think it's the Area 51 UFO. Or no, it's the zombie one. The game board is a drive-in, basically, which I didn't know until he had it on display. We've been giving these things away, or we've been raffling these things off for years, and I'd never seen one out of the box until he opened it up and showed me. I was like, oh, that's a drive-in. It's perfect.
Yeah.
So he's going to be there. Zach with Morningside Goods is going to be there. Dan at Inked Up Merchandise. If you have seen the Mahoning caps, the nice embroidered Mahoning hats that we have had over the years, those are made by Dan at Inked Up Merchandise. He's going to be there. So that's the first time he's vended with us. The Big Kid Store, Mike and Bree, who if you've been to a show at the Mahoning over the last season or two, if you've been to enough events at the Mahoning over the last season or two, you have certainly seen and met Mike and Bree. They will be there. I honestly don't remember all of the people who are going to be there, but I want to say it's between 6 and 8. So it's really going to be a full lobby. And this is they're going to open pretty early, like we would at our theater. This is probably the most Mahoning-like of all the shows we're doing as a road show, because we've got vendors, we've got pre-show music, we've got they're going to have a food truck there. They have a little bar there that will do themed drinks to the films and to the drive-in. It's
Very Mahoning vibe,
it's
you know.
very Mahoning. We did that show last year, and when it was over, we said, this is the one that all of the others are going to be judged against. All the other roadshow dates,
And they
movie dates,
were.
and they were all judged against that. So and there's a copious convenient parking. There's a parking lot like a very close to the theater, so never to worry about that. I'm a guy who goes into an urban area, and I'm like, oh, where am I going to put the car? You don't have to
Beautiful
worry about that.
area too. Like
Oh, it is.
we saw it in maybe the perfect setting with that blizzard going. The shots that Sergio got were gorgeous, but they went all out last year. We had a pizza truck and we had the Maddox. They did a drink to our late great leader Jeff. But yeah, that was one that was such a treat. My memory from last year really goes to Irv. I think you and I both fell in love with the great Irv Hyatt, who had such a history with that theater. And remind me, Mark, he wasn't projecting that night. His whole thing was like he was the guy who knew the history of the theater.
He was a big local historian, big fan. He had a book that I still want to get that was about the history of indoor and outdoor theaters in that region, that little area. And he was just a member of the board there, and he was just like one of the biggest champions of the Union County Performing Arts Center. So he was like the ambassador, the goodwill ambassador. He met you when you went down early to drop off the films, and he gave you a huge tour that you recorded.
Yes.
And we put on Patreon. And he was there vending that night with his wife, vending books he had written and vending this documentary he had of it was about an old USO show that was done in the area with a lot of like classic Hollywood stars. I believe we still have copies of that on DVD.
We do. Yeah, he gave us a bunch to bring to the theater. So that's my memories. Again, Irv was the sweetest guy, and the passion that like it was coming off of him very much the way that Jeff was when he was talking about the drive-in culture. You could just tell how much this man lived it and loved it. And he took me up into the bowels, like we went to the innards of the organ setup, which was all original.
He's talking about the bowels and the organ of the theater.
Yeah, I set that perfectly up. But yeah, he was like a true historian, and we lost him last year. And I know that they started a film series. Is this part of the film series?
No, I think they actually show classy stuff when they're showing things in
Irv
conjunction
would
with Irv.
love this for sure. He brought his wife in it, but I hope she is there, honestly. Such a welcoming venue. And like I said at the beginning of the podcast, I think that's the extra gift. Like when we started out, it was like, okay, we need to go after people that actually appreciate 35 millimeter. Like the draw of what we do on the surface. Hey, you play cool films, double features, whatever the case is. That's always going to draw film fans. But we wanted to draw film fans. So the whole idea of the launch of the Roadshow initially was, let's tap an already existing love of film with some of these indoor theaters that most of them run off of memberships. So they have a very dedicated community, just like we do at the Mahoning, while also sharing the love of what we do and our passion for the drive-in and its culture. And I think what's really given back, or the surprise, was all the people that we have met along the way that have become like true champions of what we do. And some of them come, we're talking about having them come in as part of the team to help us out with work. And I think, I'm sure you feel the same way, Mark. Speaking of Mark, who ran the films last year at Union County, was such a treat. What was your experience beyond the films? What did we play last year? The Fog and Phantasm, right?
That was an original double feature that went out in, I think, 1980 from Avco Embassy. So we were able, whenever we can do that, that's what I try to do. My idea for this is always to try to find a double feature that actually played at a drive-in local to that theater, but that's more research than I currently have time for. It was Phantasm and The Fog. And
that's right, a double that you
so
could
well.
Yeah.
and people loved it. They're two classic films that, I mean, on their own, each of those would have done well, but to put them together, it was a really great way to start it off. Something too about Union County, or UCPAC as it's seen online, UCPAC, is that they have been featured in major motion pictures. So like this, and they're not the only theater on this tour that's like that. If you love movies, if you go to the Union County Performing Arts Center, you're seeing the theater that was featured in School of Rock. And you are also
Yes.
seeing the theater that was featured in the recent film Springsteen Deliver Me from Nowhere. So like this has been featured in current and classic major motion pictures. So
Then you'll see why. It's gorgeous, you know. One of those venues, and that's why we love indoor venues, is they have such a life. Each one of them is very individual. It really is these teams, I think, that are breathing the life into these theaters that really make the trip worthwhile. Just like I said, the Highway Theater, very convenient for the Philly crowd. Being in Rahway, that's a whole other area and very accessible for folks to drive in. So we highly encourage, if it's close enough to you, to look into tickets for both of those shows. Now, after that, we're going to New York, Mark, right?
this one is maybe the one I'm most excited about on a personal level.
Major.
It's a theater I've been going to for a long time, and to be able to, our documentary ran there. So it was very exciting initially when At the Drive-In was playing festivals and stuff, that we got to run it there was exciting. But for us to be able to do a show at this place is a pretty big deal for me.
Yeah, I think it's a huge win for the organization and really the culture, to be like, these are two power forces coming together, and they really do have their stuff together. I think it's an honor to be able to tag team with the Alamo Draft House in Yonkers for a show on Saturday, March 7th. Mark, do you want to break down this insane double bubble? And we were talking about it before we started recording. This is going to go down there in history as far as one of our best doubles.
This is the kind of double I love it when we can do. They're two movies that most people have never heard of, but they're two movies that people who have heard of are not going to believe they're going to get the chance to see on 35 millimeter on the big screen, courtesy of Mr. Brian Darwis, who has made films such as Get My Gun and Hot Rod documentaries and does regular 35 millimeter screenings. He provided prints for several of our road shows last year. We have from 1977, The Farmer.
When they took away his land, the farmer didn't get mad. He got even when they tried to burn him out. The farmer didn't get mad. He got even, but when they killed his best friend and attacked the woman he loved, the farmer became the Avenger.
And from 1987, Rolling Vengeance.
When laws and guns aren't enough, Joey Rosso fights back with the only weapon he has. Rolling Vengeance, the ultimate monster truck. Rolling Vengeance, rated R.
What are these movies, you may ask? The Farmer is, up until now, a very rare. It was originally released by Columbia Pictures, and then it kind of disappeared until it came out on Blu-ray a couple of years ago. It is the story of a man who returns home from World War II. I believe it's World War II. And I've never actually seen this film. He tries to make it as a farmer, thus the title, The Farmer. Finds out that he can't make it as a farmer, but he can make it as a revenge for hire brutalist. So he is hired by people to basically take out local bad guys, and it just becomes this insane action revenge film. And then Rolling Vengeance is a film I initially saw on tape. It is a Canadian film that is a revenge film where the guy gets his revenge on bad guys with the use of a souped-up monster truck. So it is a guy taking on Ned Beatty and his band of local toughs with a monster truck that looks like something B.A. Baracus would have outfitted on the A-Team. It's ridiculous and it's wonderful. It's incredibly rare to see either of these on the big screen, let alone on 35 millimeter. And we're bringing you on March 7th this revenge double feature, along with all of the other extras that we do anywhere else. We don't know if there will be other vendors yet there. They do have a very big lobby. It'll be in the biggest screen they have there. It is something that I say only half jokingly, that it always means a lot to me for a movie theater: copious, convenient, free parking. There is a huge parking lot outside this place. So if you drive there, you don't have to worry about paying. You don't have to worry about finding a spot. You park your car, you walk in, you have a great time, you get back in your car and you leave. I used to drive 3.5 hours from New Hampshire pretty regularly to go down and see movies at this theater. It is decorated like an Alamo Drafthouse with huge vintage international movie posters, with a really cool display that's a reference to the Legend of Sleepy Hollow, because it's located near Sleepy Hollow, New York. And it's a theater I've been going to forever. I went there, I'm going to go there tomorrow, and I was there like a day ago. So I know of which I speak. It's a great theater, and it's the kind of programming they haven't been doing as much lately. So we're hoping this show does well, and that maybe we will be able to go back next year to the Alamo Yonkers, and maybe we'll be able to go to other Alamos.
Yeah, this is how it really all starts. It all starts with that initial connection, planting that seed. More than anything, this roadshow effort is really about the support of 35 millimeter. And every stop that we make, they're living the same exact life that we are, in that it's a preservation effort. We talk about it all the time, where the efforts that we go through to run 35 millimeter and get it up on that screen and get it across the country and prepared, it doesn't make any sense nowadays, but it makes all the sense to the folks who have an undying passion for it. And really, like we say all the time at the Mahoning, if it weren't for theaters like us, it would be a dead medium. And we really feel that the magic lives in that 35 millimeters, 24 frames per second. But to team with the Alamo, what a dream, Mark. Well done. Well done. And Darwis, a huge supporter of the Mahoning Drive-In Theater, as Mark said, has helped us out all throughout last season and beyond, and Roadshow, all of it. So after that, we are heading up to the Somerville Theater. That's right. Somerville Theater in Somerville, Massachusetts, Friday, March 13th, 2026, with a double bubble from Cinematic Heaven. Smokey and the Bandit, followed by The Car. This is such a Mark double.
We are northbound.
There's the laugh.
At last, a warm, sensitive, touching story about the close personal relationship between a man and a woman, between a trucker and his dog,
Fred, I'm so damn tired of picking you up. I got Fred!
between a father
No way.
and his son,
No way that you could come from my loins.
and how they all took to the road one day for a quiet little drive in the country. From Georgia to Texas and back in 28 hours flat, with a truckload of bootleg beer. Smokey and the Bandit, proving once and for all, it's not where you're going that counts. It's who the hell's in back of you.
Evil has visited the earth in many forms. Now it returns as the car.
There was no driver in the car.
There's nowhere to turn, no place to hide, no way to stop the car. From Universal, rated PG, parental guidance suggested.
So I was doing my research for something entirely different for our season, and I discovered the fact that The Car and Smokey and the Bandit were released within about 2 weeks of each other from Universal Pictures. And I thought, ooh, they're both car movies. They're both Universal Pictures. And that would be a perfect drive-in double. And I've since found that actually was a drive-in double, like the following year in 1978. So the Somerville Theater we love. I love the Somerville Theater. I've been going there since the 90s. It's a gorgeous, gigantic old movie palace. It still has its balcony intact, and it's a gigantic balcony, a huge big screen. They do have some other smaller screens within the theater that have been created after that, but they didn't mess up the main footprint of the place. They do live shows there, a lot of live concerts there. I've seen a few bands there. And they have a bar. They have a full-size snack bar. The staff is great. I'm good friends with Ian Judge, who's the, I guess, owner, general manager, if not owner now of the place. The management just changed recently. And I've been going for years, and this is the second time we've gone back, I believe. Am I correct?
I think it's the third time, actually, my friend. Yes.
Life is a
They
blur.
helped us launch the soft launch of the Roadshow.
That's true.
Which really, I'll be honest with you, Mark, that was the show that really sold the idea to me of like, oh, we can actually make this work. Because we were nowhere close to the Mahoning. it's a good, I'd say, what, 4.5 hours from the Mahoning?
I think so. Yeah, it's up there. It's very close to Boston. So if you don't know the area, if you're doing what some of us are doing, which is to go up and stay over, there's a lot to do around there before or afterwards. Somerville itself has it's a very vibrant area with
talk about a gorgeous
restaurants,
place to be,
stores, and there is a T, which is what they call it in Boston, a subway stop right there. Like literally almost attached to the theater, there's one, and then across the street there's one. So it's super easy to get there on the Red Line, and you're very close to Boston. So if you want to go into Boston and do things, so it's a great area. It's a great theater, great folks. David, the projectionist, is a master at what he does, and we had just so much fun, and it was really cool to see so many people. Again, every one of these road shows, the whole idea with the road show is, number one, give us something to do when we're closed, but to take what we do to theaters that also can do 35 millimeter. And these theaters are in most cases closer to some of our customers than we are. So when we go to the Somerville in Massachusetts, we see all the New Hampshire, Vermont, Massachusetts Mahoning regulars show up at that show, and they're thrilled to be able to see us and get that.
So excited. You came to me.
Yeah. And then we see people who I talked to a guy at the last Somerville show who had always heard about us but had never made it down yet. So the hope is that we bring our audience to these theaters where maybe they've never been, and maybe they'll keep going to these theaters. So those theaters gain business from our customers, and maybe we convince some of their customers to come down and visit us in summertime, and maybe we gain some of their customers as our customers. So really kind of everybody wins. And it's just great to excitedly talk to people about drive-ins and the movies we're showing and what we do and drive-ins they've gone to as kids and all that. And again, it's just to be able to have an excuse to go to the Somerville now that I live so far away from it once a year is
yeah,
I'll take it.
It's such a treat. And the memories, so one of the key memories for me actually in life, David was sweet enough to take Virgie last year all the way up to the projection booth. And when I say all the way up, I'm talking about a ridiculous height up to those that projection booth. But he was so gracious with Virgie, showing him everything, the ins and outs, very much like Jeff was when a kid was around. It's like he kind of turned a putty, He was just the sweetest. And Ian now, such a fantastic team. And what they do there is such a perfect crossover with what the Mahoning does. And I think the thing that sold me was the amount of regulars that I saw there where I'm like, yo, this is nowhere close to you, because that was my worry is we go super far and it's like away from our fan base. And then I remember, oh, wait, our fan base is all over the place. We are not a localized business in that way. So
we had people last year at the Somerville show who had been to the show we did the night before in Philadelphia. So They came to see us in Philly, and then that night or the next morning, they drove all the way up to Somerville to see us again, because every show on these tours are different. So we don't repeat anything, and it encourages people to see multiples. But that's some super dedication that they would make that trek. I did not schedule our dates this year like I did last year, so we're not bouncing between multiple states in one weekend. It's basically, for the most part, one show per weekend. But another thing about the Somerville that's really cool, speaking of theaters used in movies, is that the Somerville was used in the movie The Holdovers recently. So if you're a film location fan, the Somerville is in a movie. Also, what we're doing during the pre-show at the Somerville, we will be doing a Burt Reynolds laugh-alike contest. So we have a prize. It's a pretty cool prize. It's a prize I don't think you can get anymore, that I will be awarding to whoever we deem to be the best sound-alike for the Burt Reynolds laugh, which, if you want to practice, it sounds a little bit like somebody strangling a turkey.
Kind of like that. Yes, if you guys come and visit us at the merch table, we will have a limited number of mustaches as well. So if you guys want to get in the groove, come on up, get your laugh on, and we'll have some Mahoning-centric prizes for you all. After that, we hit the road and head on back to Pennsylvania, Ambler, Pennsylvania, specifically at the Ambler Theater on Thursday, March 19th, with a single feature screening of Cobra.
Society is breeding a new kind of criminal. It's also breeding a new kind of cop. This is where the law stops, and I start. fact. Stallone is a cop called Cobra. The strong arm of the law.
So excited to be able to bring Cobra to the big screen. We played it. We played it for a Tunnel Vision Tuesday. Exhumed played it for a Tunnel Vision Tuesday. The last I believe we played it, and this movie rips. What's your experience with Cobra?
You said that to me we have walkie-talkies at the theater that we use to communicate with each other, and sometimes they become another commentary during the movie. And at one point during Cobra, I think you were watching it in the hammock off to the side of the screen, and I was in my car, and you just went on and went, "This movie rips." It does. Crime is a disease, meet the cure. Cobra actually started as Stallone at one point was going to be the star of Beverly Hills Cop, and he insisted on rewriting the script. And when he rewrote the script, he turned it into basically the seed of Cobra. He changed the name to Marion Cobretti and all of that. And the makers of Beverly Hills Cop were thinking like, that's not really where we want to go. So you can take that. And he did, and he made Cobra. I saw this film in the theater opening weekend with my father, who was a big fan of Schwarzenegger and Stallone and Chuck Norris and Charles Bronson and manly guy movies. And I love it. I watched it again recently. Arrow put it out on 4K, and it's loaded with extras. So I took a really deep dive into Cobra, and it's this wild 80s MTV. I always equate it with a horror movie as much as I do an action movie.
Oh, hell yeah. Absolutely.
It has those beats. It's like urban horror or crime horror. You've got Brian Thompson as this hulking guy who's basically a serial killer, part of this cult in LA killing people, and Stallone has to protect a witness who has seen his face. And it's just basically him and this army of bad guys who could look like anybody coming after him. And the action's insane. The music is great. You've got cars and motorcycles and axes and machine guns and badass guns and knives and you name it.
George P. Cosmatos at the helm. And one of those movies that is just like non-stop. So come on out, enjoy that amazing action. Yeah, you said it, like tough guy movies. Cosmatos was so good with the tough guy movies. He did what, Rambo 2 and Tombstone for sure.
Right.
Yeah, so really, really excited to head back to the Ambler Theater. Just like we said, they're under the Renew Theaters umbrella. So Jesse and Shannon are so incredibly welcoming to us, and their team in general is such a gift to cinema. So if you guys are close, again, perfect for the Philly crowd.
And that theater is gigantic. That has one of the biggest lobbies I've ever seen in terms of the approach into the theater. Like you enter curbside.
It's a long walkway.
You could literally drive 2 lanes of traffic through that entrance to the theater. They have a museum next door that has a lot of the late great Lou DiCrescenzo's collection of film artifacts and projectors and things like that, which is a whole experience. I would advise getting there early just for that, if nothing else. The lobby is super cool in old style. We will be vending. Movie John will be there.
It's a vibe. It's a whole vibe.
It's worth going to any of these shows just to experience the theaters, let alone what we bring to these theaters.
Absolutely. Really, really fun stuff. And again, we're trying to bounce around to make it accessible for as many of you guys as possible, because we know it. Even when the season is on, it really depends on your schedule lining up with the exact event that you want to come out to. So hopefully this gives you that perfect excuse to come out and celebrate cinema with us. I don't know if we can top this next double feature, my friend. We are heading back to the Everett Theater in Middletown, Delaware on Saturday, March 21st with, I would say 3 Kings with Viva Las Vegas from 1964 and King Kong versus Godzilla from 1962, both presented on original 35 millimeter.
Viva Elvis! Viva Anne Margaret! Viva the excitement when these two let themselves go on a wild and woolly whirl through Funtown, USA. Yes, the sky's the limit for love, laughter, and those wonderful new sounds.
King Kong versus Godzilla. Nothing you've ever seen can equal the thrills of this extraordinary motion picture. Nothing you've ever felt can equal its awesome fury as the mightiest monsters of the ages clash in the battle of the century. It sears the emotions with shock and terror. It staggers the imagination. All new in color. King Kong versus Godzilla.
Come on. As far as a drive-in double feature, a mashup of genres, a celebration of fandoms, this is so perfectly Mahoning. Thank you, Mark, for this. And how did this really come along? Was this the brainchild of Lee and the team over at the Everett?
No, I wouldn't blame them for this. This is something. I was reading a book about Elvis. I'm a big Elvis fan, and they mentioned in it Elvis noticing at some point they were trying to describe like his career being in decline or his movies not being appreciated, and basically the way they put it was he drove by the sign for a drive-in, and one of his films was billed with a Godzilla movie. Some people would say that is a terrible thing, and I said that's fantastic because that's what happened. If you look at most drive-in double features now, and historically, they weren't always films that were paired thematically together.
No, very rarely was it that.
No, a lot of times it was, it was a comedy and action movie. It was a romance film and a horror movie. It was two new movies, and that's still what you get at drive-ins. So this is replicating the idea. I don't know if specifically these two ever played together, but I know it did happen back then, where you would get Elvis movies were just popular entertainment. They were light comedies, musicals, and Godzilla movies were just fun monster movies. Theoretically, both skewed toward the youth audience. So I decided to put these two together because if you're going to do an Elvis movie, you're going to do the best of his narrative films, which is Viva Las Vegas, which is colorful and the music is great and it's fast and it's funny. And Anne Margaret goes toe to toe and holds her own the whole time with Elvis in terms of being super cool, super sexy, really great dynamic performer. And then you get King Kong versus Godzilla, which is just a proven success as far as bringing two icons of the silver screen together to just duke it out. It's silly, it's goofy, it's fun. It is the American cut of this because that's what would have played at a drive-in here. And as a special guest, we are bringing in author and America's Boy Next Door, Tom Shubilla, who has authored several books about pop culture in the 60s. He did one about Primetime 1966, about TV. He did one about James Bond in the 60s spy craze. And his latest book is all about the creation, making of, and legacy of King Kong versus Godzilla. So Tom will be there signing and selling books. We're also going to have Movie John there, and then we'll also be there. So it'll be a super fun time. The Everett is another theater. If you're a film location tourist like our friend Daryl is, the Everett was featured heavily in Dead Poets Society. And they have a lot of artifacts and displays from the film there. And they have the seat where, much like the seat where Lee Harvey Oswald was nabbed in Texas after the Kennedy assassination, we have the seat you can sit in with that Robin Williams sat in Dead Poets Society.
Yeah.
It's a great theater. It's great, folks. They use original carbon arc projection. Mike is going to be up in the booth. He gave us a wonderful tour of the booth when we were there the last time, and it's just vintage projectors the way these films would have been seen at that theater in 62 and 64. So
carbon arcs, too. They're still running carbons.
They can still somehow find those carbons.
Yeah, we actually delivered some because we were like, wow, the fact that you guys are running carbons, talk about retro classic. And they're a perfect balance. Their theater does a lot of theater and community shows, and then when they can, they do these 35 millimeter presentations, and it's such a loved and lived in theater, which their story is fantastic. You guys can go back and listen to one of the previous podcasts because very much like the Mahoning, the town rose up to rebuild their theater after a fire. I believe their second fire, but Viva Las Vegas is one that we visited a ton when I was young. As I mentioned on the podcast before, my dad's love for Anne Margaret ran so deep. So naturally, my love of Anne Margaret ran so deep. But George Sidney directing this movie, I put it together. He also directed Bye Bye Birdie, as well as some other fantastic music, Kiss Me Kate. So if you know, come on out for that rare double treat. And talk about fandom. We may very well get some people who come just for one, roll out, or some people that come just for number two. But talk about being able to celebrate two sides of yourself.
I just think it's family fun. These movies are totally wholesome. I mean, as salacious as it gets is Elvis looking at Anne Margaret and going, oh, or King Kong trying to shove a tree down Godzilla's throat, or vice versa. But other than that, they're totally family friendly. They're super fun and nostalgic.
The kids.
The Everett does a great job with everything they do, but they also will have like classic cars parked in front of the theater. The last time they had a red carpet out there for us. It was totally insane and wonderful. I cannot recommend that theater enough. It's in a beautiful little downtown where there's tons of businesses and restaurants that are walkable and a parking lot like right across the street. So
yes,
I highly encourage anybody, if you're the kind of person that makes the trek to the Mahoning, makes a long haul to the Mahoning, each of these theaters is 100% worth the effort to get to and experience what they do so well.
Oh, without a doubt. Gene, regular of the Mahoning, Gene Beretta, who partners with us for the Muppets event, he's coming out, bringing his family out. He's like, I'm not missing that double feature.
Excellent.
And I said, it's going to be well worth your trip. This venue is gorgeous. Lee and his team are so inviting. And the town, like it's a beautiful, wide open strip that they're on, like a Main Street strip. And you could just walk that thing for days. After that, we're heading back in the big old 35 millimeter truck and heading on down the road, putting on down the road to Philadelphia, a mainstay for the Mahoning fan base, heading back to the Philadelphia Film Society on Friday, March 27th with a perfect drive-in double feature of Blackula 1972 and its sequel, Scream, Blackula Scream from 1973. Chef's kiss.
Blackula, the Black Avenger, rising from his tomb to fill the night with horror. Blackula, Dracula's soul brother, deadlier even than he. Blackula, he thirsts for your blood, he hungers for your soul, more horrifying than Dracula.
Blackula is back. All new. All powerful. Blackula, the Black Prince of Shadows, rises from his grave to stalk the earth again in the all-new motion picture chiller, Scream, Blackula, Scream.
We did screen both of these at the Mahoning Drive-In Theater, but separately from my memory. Mark, I know you have the experience with these two films, not just at the Mahoning.
These films are super fun. William Marshall, it's easy to laugh at them. It's easy to just write them off as silly blaxploitation movies. Blackula is really pretty good. William Marshall just like commits to the role of, I mean, he was like a Shakespearean actor. So he brings that to the role of this African prince who gets cursed by Dracula to be a vampire. And then he is basically awakened in LA 1972. So it's super funny. It's super funky, but it's also legit creepy at times and really well cast and well made. And the score just kicks ass. And then Scream Blackula Scream follows that up and adds Pam Grier to the mix. And I don't think I need to sell you any harder than that on the film. Like if Pam Grier being in any movie is not enough to make you want to watch it, you haven't seen a Pam Grier movie. So I never have seen these together like this. And I just thought it would be a really cool. Blaxploitation is one that we've tried at the Mahoning on occasion. It never does as well as we want it to. So we're hoping this does really well in Philly with that audience. The audience was great last time for our
They were electric.
Our like urban crime double of Vice Squad and Ms. 45 the last time. It was phenomenal. We worked with Girls Like Horror on that. And we're really looking forward to going back to Philadelphia Film Society's Film Society Center right in the heart of Philadelphia is beautiful. It's probably the newest venue that we work with on these, but it's gorgeous, huge screen, great quality, nice big lobby, pretty convenient parking. There's parking garages nearby. I think I got a spot in a garage.
Oh yeah, people worry about it, but it's definitely doable. It's an accessible part of the city, so definitely worth a trip down there. And you know what Trey does with the Philadelphia Film Society, it goes so far beyond this partnership. I know a lot of people, hopefully a lot of the Mahoning fans, have caught on to what they're doing down in the city, but they are really keeping film and cinematic culture alive down in the city. So yes, so excited for that double feature as well. As I mentioned, the Philly crowd is just electric. So to give them that double feature is just perfect, right on the nose. You guys, if you're interested in getting tickets to any of these shows and you're saying, where can I get tickets to these shows? You can head on over to mahoningdit.com. We have it queued up for you so you guys can purchase tickets to all of those shows very easily with a click of a button. We would also say to absolutely stay tuned as with many of our shows at the Mahoning, details get added, they get announced on the socials. So it's always worth staying tuned on that. If you guys want to keep your finger on the pulse, of course, the Patreon is an amazing way to do that. You get all sorts of exclusives, but we don't push it enough. There is a very easy way to sign up for the Mahoning newsletters on the website as well. So if you guys are cruising for tickets, cruise to the bottom, grab yourself that newsletter link, drop your email in there. It's a great way to keep your finger on the pulse. It's the hardest part of what we do is just getting this information to you. Nothing hurts our heart more than somebody being like, we spend months promoting a show and they go, oh, I didn't hear anything about this. It's like, ah! So anything that you guys can do. And really, as you know, the Mahoning, everything we have is word of mouth, friends deciding to tell a friend who tells a friend. Please help us spread the word. Let people know what we're doing and that we're coming to your town and why that's important and why the drive-in is important to preserve and all of that fun stuff. So we love you guys so much. Mark, do you have anything else? I don't want to take up too much of the time.
Not really. I mean, the whole point of this session was to let everybody know about the roadshow and get everybody excited. And we hope to keep doing this every off season. There might be a theater or two that we didn't hit this year, and it was just a matter of scheduling. A lot of these theaters, we tend to do this just after the Oscar nominations are announced, and a lot of these theaters are independent art houses, and they play financially smart. They play the Oscar nominated films. So we kind of had to work around with that with some theaters. There is one theater that it was a near miss this time that may still happen. I don't think it's going to happen this year, but probably will happen next year. And there are other theaters that we're in discussion with that are really cool theaters a little farther out that we are going to try to make it happen at. So if you miss us at one of these theaters this year, we will hopefully be back next year and hopefully with more, but our time really is just February and March to do this. And if we keep it to one per weekend, there's only so many we can do. So I would advise you not to miss any of these just in case we don't return to one of these theaters next year.
And honestly, lots to look forward to. I know the off season for a drive-in fan is very, very hard, especially a Mahoning fan, where you're just kind of waiting to get back on the lot. So this is a nice in between to get you through. You can come out and hang with us, do the thing. And I don't think we mentioned it, but we do have some fresh merch as well that we're bringing on the road. Every single show that we stop, we set up a merch table so not only you guys can chat it up with us and we can give you all the love, but we have all sorts of goodies. And this year, it's a bunch of cool Mahoning t-shirts and stuff that we haven't had on the lot at all. So come on out, check that out. Have a good time at the cinema. That's really what it's all about. When we talk about what's it going to take to save the theatrical experience, I always tell people like, well, first off, go to the movies, you know? So make it a point, get out. We're going to have a great time together. Hey, we'll see you on the road. On that note, Jeff, take it away, my friend.
Ladies and gentlemen, thanks again for coming out tonight to the Mahoning Drive-In Theater. We hope you'll come back and see us again real soon. The exit is on the right-hand side of the screen at the front of the field, and most importantly, have a very safe trip home. Good night and God bless you.